Hi, and welcome to the NBA Economy Show. This is Fritz. Just calling. Just wanted to update you. I'm sure you heard been a day, and since the Knicks really shook things up. The Knicks acquired Karl-Anthony Towns. Looks like the deal may be close to being done. Last night it was quite a shock to see um, that deal come across the screen with Shams. We saw uh, Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo being traded for Karl-Anthony Towns. Um, most Knicks responded with a negative reaction at first because we've been hearing versions of this trade for the last 3, 4 years. Ever since Randall has been here, Karl-Anthony Towns has been on the tip of everybody's tongues. And Julius Randle, in the last couple of years, he has outperformed him. And perhaps many Knicks fans thought that 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 thought is out out the window. Randall's averaging more points, more rebounds, more assists. No way a cheaper Randall could be traded for Karl-Anthony Towns. I think that's how a lot of people thought about it. Um, but there's deeper things involved than just numbers and who's better. That's not everything. There's deeper things involved. There's financial implications. Julius Randle was eligible for a extension starting last month. Julius Randle, um, he came out and said he wasn't asking for extension. The Knicks said they weren't in a rush to offer an extension. They were able to talk prior to this. So what pretty much was happening is the Knicks knew what they were going to offer. Julius Randle would not accept. They aren't going to put out publicly, hey, he doesn't like our offer. They said they didn't even want to offer it. Julius Randle deserved that payday. His numbers demand that he be a high salary player. But the Knicks have been um, building something special, and a lot of the players around the team, they have been uncomfortable. They've been put in uncomfortable situations, so they wanted Julius basically buy into this team. You bought him before, sign for less, and we'll go forward. Um, but Julius Randle wanted to kind of put a pin in it. Uh, let's talk about this later. Um, Perhaps I don't know, but perhaps he wanted the Knicks to maybe think of ways to get him that salary. Perhaps maybe you don't, you know, you find a way to maybe dump a player to get me my extra few dollars to make this work. Um, it's very clear. Brock Aller and Leon Rose want to make a 4-year roadmap uh, where their main players are all locked up for 4 years. So that main core 4-year players. But Julius may wanted to uh, put his contract on hold. Maybe talk about it next summer. Maybe do a 1-year extension, and then talk about it some more. But I think the plan is a 4-year roadmap. I think Julius um, left himself exposed by not signing that extension. At the same time, the Knicks wanted to move forward, and something changed. Uh, you could say maybe the price of Karl-Anthony Towns changed. Perhaps the compensation wasn't as much this time. Um, uh, October 1st is just a couple of days away with camp. Perhaps even even Mikal Bridges. What if Mikal Bridges didn't want to sign on October 1st? That extension. That would pretty much kill any talks um, with Julius Randle about upping his extension beyond what they were offering. So if we haven't heard anything yet, but if Mikal Bridges said, I'm not going to sign that, it's too low, perhaps we'll talk next summer. At that point, you got to you got to cut it with Julius. Julius, uh, I know you want to maybe talk next summer, but that's off the table. Maybe that's where they were at. Um, there's so many things it could be. But until we like hear down the line, I don't think you're going to get a clear answer for the Knicks anytime soon. Um, Something changed. The Knicks were in need of a center. We know with the in the NBA, the top teams in the East, Indiana, um, Indiana Sixers, Boston, all have centers that could shoot, and they all Mitch had a problem uh, defending all of them. Uh, so they needed somebody new. Perhaps this is killing two birds with one stone. Um, I think it solves so many problems. First, the financial problem of Julius Randle. Julius Randle wanted a raise, and even though he was at 30 million, that's a lot less than 50 million from Cat. And I know a lot of people are saying, "Hey, 30 is less than 50. If you gave him 40, that would be less." Not really, because that's an increase. Uh, right now, you're seeing the Knicks combine two players to get Cat, but once you get Cat, that that price isn't dramatically going up. So you're not really increasing; you're just combining. You're consolidating salaries. Um, so trading for Cat doesn't mean, hey, we got a more expensive players. Oh, now we're in the second even. No, it doesn't increase. You just combine two salaries. Um, so Cat's salary is stabilizing for the Knicks. Cat extension kicks in, so he's locked up for the next 4 or 5 years. So that's 4 or 5 years of sustained salary. Um, I'm just gonna look at the comments real quick. All right, nice to see everybody in the chat. So that's sustained salary. Even though I think the Knicks did Julius a favor, and they put him in a nice situation. He's in a situation where he can come to an agreement with the Timberwolves. Depends how serious they are about winning, or he can leave this summer on the Timberwolves and look for a new deal. I think it's a better it's a situation that the Knicks couldn't afford. The Knicks couldn't wait till next summer to see what happens. The Knicks want to make sure that they're set now. The next 4 years in the NBA, yes, the cap is going to be growing, but also in the next 4 years, you're going to have an expansion draft. Brock Aller is well prepared. Like the Knicks are prepared right now to be good for 4 years and not worry about going into the second apron when other teams are just trying to figure it out. They're they're like um, they're they're being financially responsible now. Um, right now they can plan for future trades. So even though we don't have picks, the Knicks could be in a way where we have salary slots instead of picks, and that maybe somebody will give us a player for taking on somebody's salary is going to be going up that they know they can't afford. So the Knicks are being responsible. I'm really sad to see Dante go. Dante's one of the big players I rooted for from day one when he came here. I saw what he did on Golden State. I'm a real big fan. At the same time, this trade they say wouldn't be done without Dante. I think You see the Timberwolves, and the Timberwolves see the value. Um, the Knicks bailed out the Timberwolves, and that's a simple way of saying it. Uh, Timberwolves needed to cut a salary, um, but they had no real control of how to do it. Um, they pretty much, if the Knicks didn't bail them out and give them Julius Randle, who literally they could tell walk this summer, we don't really want you. They can literally save his salary off of the cap. Um, imagine imagine the Timberwolves really need to come off Karl-Anthony Towns' money, and they begged the Nets to take Ben Simmons. Now, now they're gonna have to explain that to their fans that they traded Karl-Anthony Towns for Ben Simmons just because Ben Simmons is expiring. Um, they needed an expiring. They got a player that the team can respect, the fans could cheer for. They got a valuable player in Dante DiVincenzo. They can sell it. They say, "Oh, we upgraded." They have a player who can work with Anthony Edwards, or they have a trade chip. They got young players. Now they have a player who's on a bargain deal. Now they could perhaps get rid of a bad salary with a good salary and bring in somebody on the roster, even though they're in a bad financial situation. So I think it's a real big win for Minnesota. With the Knicks, it's a win because it solidifies their books. Also, with the style of play, the Knicks win on style of play, having a stretch five um, was necessary with like the top four teams in the East. I think now you can kind of turn your attention to power forward, but you don't even have. You're not even desperate where um, have to swing for the fences. You can kind of take your time and just wait for a deal to happen. I think the Knicks are in a really good spot. Karl-Anthony Towns, I think he's going to do really well here. I think working with Jalen Brunson would be good for him. Um, Anthony Edwards, has been very vocal and kind of trying to take the reins of the team. Karl-Anthony Towns has always had a hard time with leadership, trying to lead, and I don't think he, you know, got his sound bites right. So he's always kind of always talked a lot tougher than he needed to, and he just needed to be himself. Like Jalen Brunson, he ain't from the streets. He don't act like he's from the streets, but everybody respects him. You know what I mean? I think Carlton Towns can relax. He's from the area. I think it's going to be good for him. Um, what's going on right now? Um, I think I think if we look at what happened in the trade, okay, this is where we're at now, and this is what I did this morning, but it has been solved. So the Knicks gave Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, Keita Bates job to Minnesota. So Minnesota is good. They're our second apron team, so they have to take in less than they give out. So they're good. As of this morning, Carlton Towns was coming to the Knicks, but the Knicks didn't quite send out as much as they're taking in, so they need to rectify that. Um, so what happened with the Knicks is what I call the Brock Aller masterclass, as Brock Aller signed and traded the back end of our 23-24 roster. The players at the end of the roster, you're saying, why are they here? These players are, basically getting a paycheck who have no chance of playing. He's literally given them a free paycheck by sending them to the Hornets. Um, and it looks like there will be three players going to the Hornets, uh, basically getting a free check just to make the money work. What's going to result is the Knicks may, for a short period of time, be over the second apron. Um, and and the reason why is even though they're signing and trading more money, that those players weren't on our books currently. Uh, so they so they kind of work the trade on a technicality. Um, some of these players aren't even in the states right now. One of the players is playing in a foreign country. So the Knicks pretty much use everything at their disposal. They may be slightly over the cap, which tells me they have another trade coming. They've also waived Marcus Morris, Chuma Okeke. Um, why would they cut those players? Is because they need to sign these three players to send to the Hornets. But you need to take possession of those players before you do the trade. So they took Marcus Morris off, Chuma Okeke. I think the Knicks are going to re-sign them. They were signed to Exhibit 9 and Exhibit 10 contracts. Those aren't NBA contracts. Those are like showcase contracts. I think next you're going to see the Knicks sign them to um, conditional NBA deals. So Brock Aller is really working the NBA system to make this happen. So don't think that Marcus Morris is off the team for good. I think he's still going to make the team. They just have to sign him to a different contract. Um, Obviously, minimums. So let me see. So where are we? So it's going to basically be these. These are the pretty much the real players leaving, going to each team. So the Knicks lose two roster spots, and I think that's going to be the Marcus Morris, Chuma Okeke are going to take these roster spots. Um, so I think Knicks are still going to have 15 players on the roster on opening day, hopefully. If you have any questions, you can throw it in the chat. Um, so where does that put everyone now? I had this crazy status report. So we still have all our rookies. Um, what was the fear that to make this trade work, that perhaps they had to put in a rookie or two, but it looks like the rookies are safe. Nobody needs to be taken and traded. The Knicks still do have a $3.2 million. Um, Actually, not right now. So they don't have any remaining space. They technically have the mid-level session. They can't use it because they don't have space. But if the Knicks pull off another trade, like I think they may get some space back, dip back under the second, the dip back under the second apron. I think the Knicks really tried to skirt the apron on there. Okay. So if anybody has any questions, I will try to answer it if I can. And let me look at here. Jay Boogie, hey, what's up? Salute, salute. Three capital S's. Of course, King Ribby, thank you. Subscribe and share. Um, yeah, Jason M. Brock Aller keeps finding these loopholes in the CBA to complete these trades. Yeah, it's funny because all last end of the season, everybody was saying, "Oh, why are we signing these guys at the end of the bench? You could have had a useful NBA contract here." And Brock Aller literally used every player at his disposal this summer to make all the trades happen. Um, what other news do we have? Um, Not Nick news, but I am happy. Jose Alvarado got signed to an extension. New Yorker, uh, basically walk on G League, now NBA contract. New Yorker. He's finally he got taken by the Pelicans on a cheap contract. He worked through it. Now he got a legit NBA contract. So that's great for him. Where do I see the Knicks going now? Um, the Knicks have very little assets left. Even in this trade, they haven't disclosed yet, but to get this trade done with the Hornets, the Knicks had to give up draft compensation. So we have to figure out what that draft compensation is and how much draft compensation do we even have left. Um, I think the Knicks have to find a way to get more draft compensation. I really think the Knicks will address the power forward slot mid-season, January. Perhaps we'll see Precious moved. If Precious isn't moved, then next summer, uh, if he's not moved by the deadline, then maybe they have a handshake deal to sign next season. Um, but the Knicks won't have um, much money to do it. So he's kind of putting himself in an odd position. Um, Chef New York City, what's your thoughts on Kolik's role? So up to this point, me and Freezy had a lot of conversation on Kolik. I, I personally wouldn't put Kolik in a situation where he's a heartbeat away from being the starting point guard. Um, but if they have that kind of faith in him, they must have seen something very special in him. I would have thought they would have gotten a veteran backup point guard, um, seeing that they didn't see Deuce as as a ball handler. We see with the removal of Dante, now Deuce actually has a role in this team. He can stop he can kind of breathe easy now, and the thought that it's inevitable that he's being shopped is gone. I think now you can look at they won't move Deuce unless something better comes along or something they really want comes along. It's not inevitable that he's being traded. So it looks like Kolek is going to be in the mix. Um, Perhaps they don't have him back up day one, but I think probably within a month or 5 6 weeks, I think he'll be the backup point guard, and I think you'll see Deuce as the kind of the backup shooting guard. So I think it's great for them. Yep, Tibbs don't play rookies anyway, unless he's forced to. Um, we saw he played R.J. Barrett when he was really young. He played through R.J. Barrett's mistakes, and he let him play through his mistakes um, because he was the third pick. Uh, Kolik is not the third pick, but if management believes in him that much, I think he'll give him the latitude he needs to make mistakes and still keep his position. Yeah. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I think the first 10 games may be interesting because we start off the bat with some tough opponents. I think spreading the floor is is good for the Knicks, but what I'd hate for the Knicks to be is like a five out team, a jump shooting team. So you still have to have people willing to sacrifice willing to put their body on the line. Things that Julius Randle did, that was his staple. Um, Even though we started with no handle Randle, but he really solidified himself as uh, something hard to replicate, an all NBA player. So shout out to Julius Randle for all he did for New York. Dante in his short stint with New York. Um, I think the situation for them is really good. I think Julius Randle is going to benefit from the position he's in over there in Minnesota. Next one, Nick P. Who you think fills these roster spots since Morris and Kiki were waived? Well, I did mention that they were waived, but they were in exhibit contracts. I think that what's going to happen is they're going to be re-signed to NBA contracts. So, like a non-guaranteed 1 year deal. I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's just a loophole. I think I think Brock Aller is just using everything at his disposal. Um, well, that's all I have for now. If more information comes up, I'll definitely get back to you. I wouldn't put it past the Knicks for another trade to happen. I really don't think Mitchell Robinson is in long term plans. Even with this trade, I'm not sure if you have Mitchell Robinson in the as a starting center. I think starting center will go to Karl-Anthony Towns. I think uh, if they have to keep if they have to show that Mitchell Robinson is healthy to get any reasonable return, I think they'll allow him to return and then trade him. But if they can get a decent return for him without showing him returning, I think they do that too. I just don't think he's going to be in New York much longer. Um, all right. If that's everything, I thank everybody for joining. Um, yeah, I've been away, but I've been kind of busy at work. But the season's about to start. I have things planned. Um, I do want to not only have merch, but free merch, which is going to be interesting. But I think I'm going to have some free merch, and I think you'll hear about it in the next month. Um, free merch, but basically, for doing good things, I think free giving out some free merch. So, all right, thanks everybody for joining. Please subscribe. Please share. We have 200 subscribers. I know my streams have not been the most exciting, um, but we will kick it up on the content. Um, I will keep you um, up to date on what's going on. As soon as we get the numbers on what this deal does, how much we're over, I will report that as well. So, thank everybody for joining. Have a good night and see you next time.